Hello and welcome to another episode of Football Talk Podcast. My name is Ozzie and I'm your host for today's show. And today we're joined by a special guest, Anish Dogra, who's also a freelance journalist and a big Liverpool fan. So Anish, how's it going?
Hey Ozzie, yeah, really good. Very happy with everything that's gone on today, and it's nice to have positivity being a Liverpool fan. Hasn't felt like that for a while.
Hasn't felt like that for a long time. So let's just get straight into it. So it's just been confirmed. We're both talking offline that Gravenberch is finally a Liverpool player. A lot of speculation was that the deal might have been off due to the fact that Polina's move to Bayern Munich didn't materialize. So as you can see, guys, this is Gravenberch in official Liverpool colours there. So give me your thoughts on the new signing. I know there's been a mixed viewpoint from a lot of Liverpool fans. I think some people are happy. I would say most people are happy. Some would probably not be satisfied due to the fact that we were initially after a traditional destroyer. And people are saying he doesn't really fit that mold. What's your viewpoint on Gravenberch being a Liverpool player now?
So I get why they wouldn't. Yeah, they're not too over the moon by not having a destroyer. And obviously we've got Endo, but in so many ways, I think it's good that we've not got an out-and-out destroyer. Because with Gravenberch, well, firstly, he's a real, fantastic prospect. 21 years old, came from Ajax, and we all know how incredible their academy is. And just in general, Dutch football is coming through. Rarely do you see a Dutch player not going to have a good career. And given the fact that he's paid for Bayern, he's was coached by Tuchel, had a good, not a great season with them, but the fact that he was able to gain that experience and playing with top players, I think it's a brilliant addition for us. And because it's not a typical out-and-out destroyer, it gives us scope to be a bit more flexible. Yes. And I think one of the biggest comments I think I heard from Klopp a couple of weeks ago was that he said that Fabinho and Henderson, they were running to the ground, and that's because they were those kind of profiles, the destroyer, and particularly Fabinho, where he has to do all that dog work in that sixth position. But now with Gravenberch, with McAllister, with Szoboszlai, Endo, Bajcetic, all the others, it's a different style of football, and it's one that I'm very excited about.
I think you hit the nail on the head there in terms of flexibility, because that's one thing that I've been speaking about quite a lot recently. I think he's the perfect signing in terms of his profile. Like you said, young and up-and-coming player through the ranks of Ajax, so we know he's technically sound in terms of how he plays. For me, I've been wanting him for about 2-3 years. I've been watching him very closely for Ajax. For me, great ball carrier, which is something we've lacked in the midfield over the years. You've got someone who can play as a number 6 in a double pivot, which we sometimes deploy, and can play box-to-box as a number 8. So for me, he offers a multifunctional option for Klopp going forward. Me personally, and I don't know if this will happen, I really hope we actually change system now. So I'm praying, or I'm being hopeful that we actually switch to a 4-2-3-1 formation, where I feel like if you look at the personnel in terms of our squad, that will fit everyone's sort of capability, even Trent. So playing a 4-2-3-1, if Trent was to bomb forward as a fullback, you've got one of the DMs to cover for him. So for him, it will be a place where he can go forward and attack as much as he wants. Gravenberch will play in a role that he's familiar with. McAllister as well. That's where he played for at Brighton. So Szoboszlai will end up playing as a number 10, and I feel like he'll be more effective going forward. So that's my dream there. That's my formation that I feel like would suit Liverpool to the T. I know the 3-2-2-3 formation is a formation that a lot of people have liked, but I do feel like there's flaws in that formation. It was quite evident, especially last season. I think when we played Tottenham, and we got exposed on that left-hand side quite a lot. So, Paul Konate is doing a 2-man job there, being a centre-back and a full-back at some point as well. So
it didn't work. It was a good experiment, because like you said, at the back end of last season, there wasn't much hope, and you might have thought, okay, forget, screw it. Let's see how this goes about, because we don't have much to lose.
Yeah.
But going forward, like you said, we're 4-2-3-1, and if you can remember, Klopp's top tier Dortmund team in 2012,
yes,
with Piszczek and Schmelzer on either side, fullbacks overlapping, making bobbing down the wings. I'm hoping that that's how we'll go this season.
That's a great reference point. That's literally what I was thinking. Because I did a show yesterday once we found out the news that Gravenberch has agreed a deal, and I feel like for me that just fits the T. I'm hoping Klopp is on the same wavelength and actually agrees that is the formation for us going forward. So we've got Gravenberch in the bag. I've got my Twitter feed on the side just in case there's any other breaking news. I doubt there will be from a Liverpool side.
I think we're done now.
Yeah, I think we're done as well. But what are your overall thoughts of the summer window? Have we recruited well? And would you say all of the areas have been addressed within the squad?
So I think in the main we have recruited well. If you look at the players that have left this summer, the ones that we knew were going to leave and the ones that did leave, like Hendo and Fabinho, I feel that we've got the perfect replacements for each player. So if you think of Keita and Ox, their new versions are Maka and Szoboszlai, two goal-scoring midfielders, box-to-box midfielders who can run up and down the pitch.
Yeah.
Fabinho out and Endo in. Endo might not be the most glamorous signing, but you got to give him a chance and hope that he will come good. And obviously now with Gravenberch, and I know people might think Henderson was a number 6 sitter, but in his best years at Liverpool, he was that third midfielder, that third right centre mid where he would make box-to-box runs. Yeah. So midfield-wise, fantastic. I think we're absolutely golden there now for a long, long time. And the best bit of the profiles of players we've got is that they're all so young. McAllister is the oldest of those new attacking midfielders, and he's only 24.
24, yeah.
And when you factor in Elliott, Jones, by Shetic as well. So the future there is fantastic. But that being said, and I think it's always the case with every Liverpool transfer window, it's never a 10 out of 10.
No.
I do think we needed another defender, not so much in terms of like another Van Dijk or a Konate, but someone who could come in and when Joel Matip, let's say he leaves next summer or in 2 years, when Van Dijk eventually leaves the next couple of years, it would have been ideal to have someone in right now where they can learn, where they can grow, where they can play in the Europa League, which is obviously one of the benefits of being in that competition this year, where we can give the kids some game time. But I think it's more than enough. I think it's more than enough to have a good season, or at least a better season than last, and challenge for trophies.
I share the same sentiment there. I think, you can never have a 10 out of 10.
No, in Liverpool. It's never perfect.
No, regardless of who we recruit. Obviously, the stinging burn of the window was us, getting hijacked for 2 deals. So that will always stay in the back of our minds in terms of how the summer went. But for me, in the overall picture, I feel like compared to the squad that we had last season, we're a lot stronger, in my opinion. So I know a lot of fans are saying, in terms of numbers, we haven't replaced everyone. So we've let 5 midfielders go, but we replaced them with 4. I look at it in a different way where, so for example, you've got Fabinho. He was our sort of traditional, I would say number 6, our specialist player. He was pretty much sold. And then Endo is the destroyer. I know he's, like you said, he's not the high profile player that we all wanted. But at the end of the day, he's running a team. He's a destroyer. Then you've got Henderson, and I feel like Gravenberch is his direct replacement in terms of being a multifunctional player where he can play as a number 6 or as a number 8. Then you've got Milner, who was pretty much a left-sided centre-mid for us at times, and obviously played right back and left back. God knows where else he played. So you can say McAllister's kind of
played in goal.
I know he pretty much played every position.
I think he played every position other than goal. So the only one they've got left.
Well, I was surprised they didn't put him in there for pre-season or anything, but he would have completed the whole set there. But you're going to say on paper, McAllister replaces him, and then Oxlade-Chamberlain, I would say like for like would be Szoboszlai, where 2 attacking players known for their long-distance shooting. So you've got someone there who I feel like is more efficient and more effective on the ball. So then Naby Keita technically hasn't been replaced, but then I just look at it where Bajcetic would be his replacement, because Bajcetic was a youth player last year. He only broke into the team towards the latter stage of the season, so he automatically becomes that fifth midfielder in our system. So we have replaced the midfield. This is the complete midfield rebuild. Regardless with Endo, maybe he wasn't our first choice, but at the end of the day, apart from Man City, what clubs get their first choice targets? So it's very difficult in this market to get that sort of player. But
biggest thing about with that as well is it's such a low value fee. Was it 18 million euros? So that's 60 million pounds. So there's little you can go wrong with that.
No, and
it's
even
not great, and it's not a waste of money, at least.
And even if he's a stopgap player for the next 2 years, for the short term, if he does a job for us, we're not going to argue. So me personally, I'm happy with the window. McAllister was a great signing in terms of the fee we paid. What was it, 35 million we ended up paying for him?
Yeah, 35. I think it could rise to 50 with add-ons, but even at 50 million in this in this market with a proven Premier League player, World Cup winner, it's fantastic business.
He was quoted for like 80 million as well. So even if it was 50 million, that's fantastic. So Boslai, he was a player I've been saying his name for the last 6 months, and we finally got him. So for me personally, I'm very happy that he's joined the club. I actually didn't think it was a possibility, but
I think that was the most excited I've ever felt for a Liverpool transfer in a long time.
Yeah,
for the fact that it's an unbelievable player, and it came out of nowhere. And I think that's always the best signings. We had no idea that he was going to be a Liverpool player. I think everyone thought he was going to Newcastle more than anyone, and then literally within 72 hours he was holding a red shirt.
Thank God he was, because that was a nice surprise to say the least. And then at that point, the spirits are high within the fan base, and then we're making a bid for Caicedo. That night was a sleepless night for me, because I stayed up.
PTSD. That I honestly even Gravenberch now. I think you must have seen it today when the Palhinha stuff fell away. I was thinking, for goodness sake, they're gonna keep Gravenberch now. And I was just thinking, not again. Thankfully, it wasn't the case. But Caicedo has scarred me now. It doesn't matter if we agree with me, because someone else will just come along and kick us out of the way.
It's funny because I did the show yesterday, and I was thinking, what if that bites me in the butt? Because literally, we've agreed with 2 players, and then it just never happened for us. So that was probably the downside of our window. But for me personally, I think us even trying to pursue Caicedo was a bit of a mistake. He was always a player that has gone on public to say he wants to join Chelsea. So his heart was never really into getting a move for Liverpool. And I feel like we were used by the agent in terms of, being that sort of negotiation from there in terms of trying to get the deal done. Lavia, I think he probably just felt disrespected in terms of us putting him to one side to try and get the Caicedo deal done. And then, I feel like he probably just thought Chelsea probably the right place to go. So then now we're screaming out for number 6. We're linked with, all sorts of names. We were linked with Doucouré from Palace. We're linked to Palhinha, who was close to signing for Bayern Munich there. In the end, we got Endo from Stuttgart, which was a huge surprise, to say the least. But look, for me, I've always been strong in terms of, if Liverpool have signed a player, support the player, see how he does in Liverpool shirt, and then take it from there. If you've got to criticize in terms of how he performs, that's all on us to do so, but not before he's played a game for us. So I think that's very key in terms of whenever we sign someone. And then Gravenberch, for me, that's the cherry on top. I'm very happy with that signing. I do agree with you. I think we should have signed one more centre-back. I think that would have covered all spectrums in my opinion, because I feel like the attack, in terms of our attackers, we're pretty much covered. We've got the numbers, we've got the quality. Midfield, I feel like we've got the players now who can play in different roles, different systems. They're all quite flexible, so that's a good point. The defense, I think, this week, which we'll elaborate a little bit more, we don't have Konate or Van Dijk playing. So, we've got Gomez, Matip, which is fine, but they're known to be injury prone. So if they get, one of them gets, touch wood, one of them gets injured, we've got young Kwanzaa in the background, who, for me, is a talented kid, but too soon at this stage to throw him in the mix. So if we had one more centre back, I think it would have been a fantastic one. I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10 on the basis that I personally would have wanted Lavia. I was really hoping we'd get Lavia, so that would have pushed it to an 8 out of 10, and then getting another centre back would have just topped it up.
Lavia over Gravenberch, or
Endo.
Yeah.
So I would have had Lavia and Gravenberch, because then with Gravenberch you could have had a player that could play either role, and then Lavia could have, taken his time to get embedded in the team. So
I think it's interesting. It's interesting with the club's stance as well, because clearly the money is there. I think even after the Caicedo bid, 115 million, I think it was. So they spent roughly 50 million on that, 35 for Gravenberch and 15 for Endo. So clearly money is there, but I just think they're very stubborn with not believing of paying over the odds. I don't think they thought Lavia is a 50 million pound player. I think they just panicked at the end when they put 60 in. But yeah, I still think they made the right decision with Lavia. He had a good season with Southampton. He showed good promise. It's 19-year-old who played for a relegation team compared to a 21-year-old who played in the Champions League and won the league title last season. So you got to value that, I think, to some extent.
Yeah, definitely. Gravenberch, he's got a different pedigree in terms of where he is at this stage of his career. And I feel like a lot of fans were disregarding his quality due to the fact that he had a very poor season at Bayern Munich, but he wasn't really played. That's, there's only so much you can analyze of a player's performance.
Bayern by the other side has had a poor season. They won the title with 60-something points. That's a ridiculously low tally. And I know Bundesliga have fewer teams, but by that standard, it was very, very low. So he wasn't in a great Bayern team either.
No, it wasn't. So I'm over the moon about this. I'm really excited to see him play. Actually, from what I've heard on Twitter, I might be wrong. Twitter can be one of those places where, the sources can be, trust me, bruv. But I've heard that Gravenberch is actually available to play for Villa. He's been registered.
Okay, brilliant. So I wasn't sure about that, because normally it's like midday registration that they have to join.
Yeah,
so hopefully that was the case.
Well, I don't know, so don't put me on it. This is what I read. So when we do our sort of combined 11, if you want to add him on, feel free. To be fair, I don't think Klopp would start him. I think straight away, but we can talk about that very shortly. But before we do, just wanted to get your thoughts in terms of the expectations of this season, because we've both agreed that we've had a good transfer window so far. How do you see our season unfolding? Do you think we're equipped to mount a top 4 challenge, or maybe even title challenge?
So I think that the best way to answer this is in parts. And if the season started from when we bought in McAllister and bought in Szoboszlai and still had a hold of Hendo and Fabinho, I think top 4 was a given. I think top 4 was easily a given because of the sheer firepower in that team. There's just too many goals in that team, and it would have been like 16-17 Liverpool all over again, where we play every match and it'll be 5-2 and 6-4 and 4-3s every weekend. But I think losing them two and bringing Gravenberch and Endo, I'm feeling positively confident over a title challenge. I feel like we're slightly ahead with a lot of our competitors. I think we're ahead of Chelsea. Yeah. I think the mood doesn't look good from the outside of Man United. I think it just doesn't feel something doesn't feel right there at the club. Yeah. Spurs they did look good, but they're still a while away from even from competing for I think they can compete for the top 4, but they're a while away. And then Chelsea still need a striker, still need. Remarkably, they still need more defenders, even though they spent ridiculous amount of money.
Spent over $1 billion.
Yeah, I know. It's unbelievable. £1 billion. What, 3 windows, 4 windows? It's just crazy.
Crazy.
And they're still a long way away from challenging Man City. And then there's Arsenal. And I think Arsenal, they do look good, but I think Arteta's playing into his mind too much, where he's just overthinking it. And I think that could be their downfall. And I think with Havertz, and I do think Havertz is a good player, but they're trying to figure out how to use him in the best way. And with the injuries they have, I think Timber, he's someone I wanted to start the winter, but losing him for a long time is a big blow. And I still feel there's just a little bit of naivety in that team. And City, obviously, they are by far the clear favourites, but as we've shown in the past, we're the only team who's ever been able to compete with them. And with the fresh legs we've got in our team, and even though the Europa League can be a hindrance in the long run, the fact that in these 6 group stage matches and with the draw that we got today, I don't think any of those teams are particularly, going to pose a particular threat to us. It essentially means our main players, our Van Dijks, Ali's, Salah's, have the whole week off. They don't have to play in those Thursday matches.
True.
So it gives me hope that we can. It gives me hope that we will challenge for the title. Whether we win it is a big task, just because of Man City and how ridiculous they are. But I think a title challenge is on the cards, and I'm very confident of at least 1 trophy. Maybe even 2, depending if we take the cups, the FA Cup and the League Cup seriously.
Yeah, I share your viewpoint there, to be fair. I do feel like we are going to challenge for the title. I'm not saying we are going to win or anything like that. I do feel like we'll probably be one of the close competitors for City. I think City have actually recruited quite well, considering a lot of players have departed. So they signed Mateus Nunes today, who, if you watched my show before, I'm a big fan of his, even before.
It's amazing about him. I think Liverpool Twitter were really depressed about him at the start of the window. I think Telegraph put out a report in March or April saying that they were going to explore some kind of deal, and Liverpool thought, what the hell is this? Now he's gone to Man City. Now they're all thinking, what the hell? Why haven't you got him?
When you can't get something, you're always complaining. So
Twitter, honestly, it's a remarkable place.
It can be at times, to be fair. But I think they've recruited well. They've got Doku as well, who's a young winger, can play on both sides. So they, in terms of pace, they've got that covered in that area. I think they've sold Palmer to Chelsea as well, which was, for me, was a bit of a huge surprise. I didn't expect them.
Didn't see that coming. Yeah, I think it was the Chelsea director, Joe Shields. I think he's got like a close relationship with Palmer. I think that's even the reason why.
I think that's a good signing. To be fair, God knows how many right wingers they have in the squad, but in terms of talent-wise, he's a good player.
By the way, in January, and he's only going to play in the cups now. Like, it's ridiculous.
It's a shame. I actually feel like if he stayed, he would have got some game time at City. I feel like he was slowly getting embedded there. But yeah, it's a funny one. But yeah, I feel like Kovacic is always a good player, and Gvardiol, Liverpool fan, but
that does hurt a little bit. A big Liverpool fan, especially.
Yeah, so that one definitely hurts. But no, they've recruited well. I think they're covered. Obviously, they have a strong mentality. They're used to winning, so it's always going to be difficult to sort of knock them off their perch. But I do feel like we will be quite close to challenging them. If we stay injury free, we might have a big season. We might surprise a lot of teams this season. So I'm optimistic. I'm pleased with the window. And, excited for the upcoming games. Just got a few comments here. One from Madison Smith. Thank you, Madison, for your comment. Ozzie rocking more classic Liverpool kits on the pod. I'm trying. I actually found my collection of shirts at my parents' house.
I love that shirt. I got the same one with Suarez 7 on the back. Like that.
Really? Yeah. Do you know what? So whenever I see this shirt, it always reminds me of Suarez. So yeah, I've actually found quite a few of my old tops at my parents' house. So yeah, I'll be rocking them a lot more in further episodes down the line. Just got a comment here from Richard. He says, hi, assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam. How are you? Mohamed Salah should go for 200 million. Use that money to buy Inacio, Sane, Frimpong, and Tchouaméni. Liverpool need cash in and strengthen. Many thanks. Thank you for your comment, Richard. Yeah, you know what? The rumors today about Salah, I was like not sweating at it at all, but Sky Sports kept on hammering on about it, like,
my head in, honestly. Like, I think there's like one clip they put out of just him waving when he's driving out of training.
When he's leaving training, right?
Like, yeah, cool. Man leaves his job after day's work. Flipping heck, anything for we're helping them right now by talking about it. Anything for reaction, clicks, and all of that.
It's so true. I personally wouldn't sell him at this. I feel like, you could, and I'm going to sound silly now, they could have given us 500 million. At this day, I wouldn't have sold the player where, we can't find a replacement straight away. We haven't got someone within the squad to even replace Mo Salah. We don't really have someone that is accustomed to playing right side. I know some would argue say Diaz can do a job there or Jota could do a job there, but for me, they're not as effective on that side. They're better on the left-hand side. So for me, that was never an option. Obviously, next summer, that's a conversation we can have at that point. But that move will happen in the near future. I actually don't think it will happen next year. I feel like it could probably happen in a couple of years' time because that offer will always be on the table for Mo Salah. he can be 45 and he can still do a madness within that league. So yeah, in terms of selling Salah, for me, it's not an option. I'm glad the club had the same stance. In terms of the players you mentioned, Ignacio was actually someone I really wanted at the club. I feel like with his release clause, that should have been, George Macca's thing right there, where he should just hit that release clause and got the deal done. But fortunately, wasn't to be. Leroy Sané, yeah, good player. Obviously, very talented winger. Injury record would be questionable, but I do rate him as a player. Frimpong is someone I've actually spoken about quite a bit as a right back. Depending on what formation we start, if we do, let's say Klopp is listening and we do a 4-2-3-1 as our primary formation, further down the line, it could be an option because maybe Trent would play in a double pivot going forward. So, a right back might be an area we actually look in my opinion, maybe next summer. Not probably this summer wasn't the right time to do so. Tchouaméni, if he has another poor season at Madrid, he might want to have a move, but it's always been a dream move for him to play for Real Madrid, so I don't see him leaving anytime soon. But I like the way
you don't leave Real Madrid unless Real Madrid don't want you. It's as simple as that. Even if you're bit part player, it's the lifestyle. It's Madrid. It's 20,000 Champions League titles and the money and the weather. Of course, he just wouldn't leave.
Look at Nacho over there. He's been there for 10, 15 years. He's happy to be a bit part player there. So, like you said, it is a lifestyle. So once you're accustomed to it, you're not really going to move out. So it's what is in that regard. Another comment from Madison Smith. What is more likely to happen this season? Man City walking the league or Arsenal Liverpool winning? Good question. I'll be honest with you. I don't think Man City will walk away. I know a lot of fans are saying, because they've won it so many years consecutively, you have to always consider the fact that, for example, I'm going to use us as an example. When we tried to go for the quad, it had a major impact in our season the following year, which was last season. And I feel like because of the magnitude of games that they played, it will have some sort of impact within the early parts of this season. So they've got the squad, don't get me wrong, and they've got about 8 top quality defenders to rotate. So, they've got that luxury as well at the same time. I don't think they'll walk away with it. I think it'll be close in terms of other teams competing for a league. Do I see them winning the league? I do see Man City winning the league, but I don't think it'll be a walk in the park for them. What do you see? How do you see that, Anish?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. It's always been about the other teams because as good as Man City are, the other teams just don't turn up against them. Chelsea, I can't remember the last time they even took a point off City. Arsenal, the same as well, and Arsenal went, were their rivals last season. So if the other teams can shape up, United have actually got a decent record against them when they played that low block and counter-attacking football. And Spurs somehow they always beat Man City, which is quite remarkable.
Yeah.
But I do think it's likelier that we'll have a better title race than Man City finishing 15, 20 points clear again.
I agree. I totally agree. Richard just sent another comment there. So this was something we can actually talk about right now. The Europa League draw wasn't as exciting or spoken about as the Champions League draw yesterday, but we got to get accustomed to it this year, unfortunately. So we're in Group E. We are with, is it Lusk? I don't even know that.
Lask, yeah, it's like LASK, like from Austria.
Okay, so it stands for something. Okay, fine. I thought so. Toulouse and Union Saint Gilloise. I don't know if I butchered that, but I believe McAllister's brother plays for that, doesn't he? Kevin McAllister, Home Alone.
Yeah, brilliant.
Home Alone settings there, but good group for us, I guess. I think someone else had a tougher group. I'm not actually sure who it was.
Brighton had the Europa League version of the group of death. They have Ajax and Marseille and someone else. I can't remember the third team. Else, very, very difficult group.
Very difficult group indeed. So yeah, this should be a walk in the park. I'm expecting a lot of rotation for these matches. I don't expect us to play our full strength 11 week in, week out, especially in the early stages. So yeah, we'll we've got some European football to look forward to. So not the Champions League music, but it is what it is. I'm not even sure what the Europa League music is, to be fair.
Worst. Honestly,
it's like some rock music, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not like good rock music. It's just it sucks. Honestly,
yeah, let's not
say about it.
Yeah, another comment from Richard. Liverpool Aston Villa kickoff 4:30 Sunday. Correct. Prediction, formation, tactics, style play. and system. We will get into it very, very shortly. Another comment here from Fema. Thank you for your comment. I do not think City will walk away with the league. Easy. KDB injured. Yep, will have an impact along with Pep. Totally agree. I think that is the key there. I know they brought in Matheus Nunes, who for me is a good sort of backup player for De Bruyne, because stylistically he can do that sort of job, but obviously he's not Kevin De Bruyne. But I feel like that will have a big impact. I think he's out for about 4 months as well. So big call there in terms of I think their season, it's not going to be a walk in the park. Totally agree. So we'll take it from there. And then game prediction. So let's get into it. So what we'll do now, we will do our combined starting 11, and then we can take it from there. So let me share the graphics with you guys. So before we start, Anish, what was your viewpoint in terms of how we played in the last game against Newcastle? Were you impressed with our performance, especially being 10 men for the second time this season?
So yeah, Newcastle, I mean, that's just Liverpool. That's just exactly what Liverpool do. They don't make life easy for themselves, but they always somehow have come up with these great stories in their history. 11v11, I thought it was okay. It was obviously very tough, and you expect that. Newcastle are a good team. They have good players, and with that atmosphere, it's one of the best in the country. It was always going to be difficult, and 11v11, it was okay. I thought we were in the match, and I think we were just trying to soak up pressure and pick our moments to attack. That being said, when we went down to 10 men, I thought it was one of the I think his top 5 Klopp wins in his tenure at Liverpool. I think the matter of how we won, the fact that we kept it tight, we didn't let them have many clear-cut chances. Obviously, we got a bit lucky, and Almiron hit the wood a couple of times.
Yeah.
Alisson made that incredible save.
That was a great save.
One of up there with saves of the season already. Yeah, and I think there was one moment where Harvey Barnes should have put in Wilson, and just squares it. It's 2-0 and game over. But the fact that I've limited to only those 3 chances in 60, 70 odd minutes when they had an extra player shows how well we did. And Kwanzaa, when he came on, was tremendous. Joe Gomez, that was one of his best displays, I think, in a couple of years. And just when everyone came on, they made a difference. Jota made a big impact. Elliott made a big impact. Szoboszlai playing in a 6 was fantastic. And I think because of that, it will just give us a lot of confidence going into this Villa game. And I do expect us to make a couple of changes based on some of those performances from last week.
Definitely agree. I feel like we were sensational against Newcastle. Going down to 10 men, we're getting accustomed to it now. But the way we played was just amazing. Szoboszlai really impressed me, playing in different roles during the game, but he just never looked out of place. And that's the reason why I'm so happy with the likes of McAllister and Szoboszlai being in our team now, because they're accustomed to playing so many different systems, formation, different shapes, and they never look out of place. Now, if we had Fabinho and Henderson in those roles, I feel like we would probably have been restricted in terms of how we would have set up, and it could have been a downfall for us. So overall, fantastic performance, great performance from Nunes as well, coming off the bench.
I forgot to mention him. Best performance he's ever put in a Liverpool shirt.
Amazing performance for him. So let's get into this picture. So Aston Villa, tough opposition. They've just come off from a big win last week. Obviously, the first game against Newcastle didn't go their way. In terms of the formation, what formation do you think Klopp will deploy? Do you think he'll stick to a 4-3-3, or do you see us playing a 3-2-2-3 where Trent is inverted in this role?
So I still think he'll go with the 3-2-2-3, even though I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I think he will, purely because of the personnel we have available. So in terms of a lineup, it's almost guaranteed Joe Gomez will start, and having him in that right centre back position gives Trent 2 players who can play in their best kind of positions. Gomez, being a right side defender, has played right back for us in the past, and is very quick, very athletic, and hopefully doesn't pull any muscles when he runs. Can't do that role. So I think he will go with it. And in terms of personnel, I think obviously it can vary.
Definitely. So let's start with the selection. So I don't think we need to argue in terms of who goes and goal. It's safe to say there's only one man That would be in our goal there. So no Konate. He's not fit, is he, Konate?
No, he's in France's squad, which is interesting. So I think he'll hopefully be back for the Wolves game after the break. But yeah, he's not going to play on Sunday.
Okay, so no Van Dijk as well. From what I know, he's been suspended for that red card, but he might have a further suspension. I don't know if that's been confirmed yet. Don't think it has, but
no, it hasn't yet. Still waiting.
Hopefully, he writes an emotional letter to say apologies for his actions and gets the ban straight away. But we'll wait until that happens. So I think it's probably safe to say that Robertson starts on the left side.
Yeah, I think so.
And then we've got Matip in the center. Would you say?
I think he will go with Matip. I think he'll resist the call to go with Kwanzaa. And I wouldn't mind seeing Kwanzaa because, like I mentioned, I thought he was fantastic when he came on, didn't put a foot wrong. Yeah. I think that was one moment Callum Wilson had a really good chance to shoot on goal, and he was so quick to not stop the shot so much, but get in his way, make it difficult, and it was a good thing from him. But I think you have to go with experience in this match. I think Matip will start.
Definitely. And Joe Gomez would be the one on the right-hand side?
I think so, yeah. I think it's just simply because of options right now.
I totally agree. Hopefully everyone stays injury-free after this game. In terms of a double pivot, so chat, let me know if I'm wrong on this one. Gravenberch is available to play in this game from what I've heard. I could be wrong, but we'll see. But even if he was available, would you play in the starting role? I personally wouldn't, to be fair.
Not right now. I think
he's literally
with the way literally walked through the door exactly, and I think given Endo's had a baptism of fire against Newcastle, I think he did okay in moments. It was obviously a very tough match for him, and it's not fair to judge him on one game and against a very good team. But I think having that match, having a second full week of training, I'm pretty certain that he deserves to start and will start. I think he'll be that left-sided holding mid.
Okay, so let's go with Endo there. Who will play alongside Endo? Would it be Trent playing more of an inverted role, or would you drop him? Because a lot of fans are asking for that, to be fair.
Yeah, I think Klopp finally said in his presser today that there was a time when he was thinking of taking off Trent in that first half against Newcastle, obviously with the red card. Well, could have been a red card, even though it was just
we were lucky.
Very, very, very lucky and very unlucky because it was a foul for the first yellow, so should have got that. But I think Trent's a given. Again, just with that passing ability, it's the best passer we have in the team, up there with Thiago, of course, and him playing that role where he can have flexibility, have freedom. I think he's just a shoo-in for now, at least. And I think he will be on Sunday.
Just got some comments here from Fama. You said he forgot about Robertson. Yeah. It's one of those ones where
interesting about Robert, especially in this formation, because it's very unbalanced. Like you can see he's not a left centre back, and that's fair enough. He's a 29-year-old left back. He's been playing as a left back for the last 6-7 years at Liverpool, and he's used to playing on that overlap, bombing up and down the left side rather than being like a Gvardiol or I think Arsenal they were playing Timber there, a left-sided defender.
Look good, to be fair.
So it gives, it can work when you got an actual left-sided defender, but with Robertson there, it does leave us, quite open at times.
Yeah, I would say I'm excited to see the combination of him and I was going to say Endo in on that side, because I don't want it to be Endo, because I feel like you've got someone who's defensively minded. In last couple of weeks, we've had players like Gakpo, who's played in a more of a deeper role from what he normally does. So he's not really accustomed to having that defensive duty within the middle of the park. So I feel like if you've got someone who will cover Robertson as well, might actually help his game. So I'm actually intrigued to see how they combine on the left-hand side there. I've just got another comment here from Fama saying I would not play him. And then Endo has some play time before he joined us. Yeah, so he's, I think he's had a few more training sessions now, so he's definitely more equipped to play, and hopefully we don't go down to 10 men, because whenever he's played, we've had 10 men on the pitch, so not easy of games to get accustomed to when you join the new club. Another comment here, Gravin did not play much play time, need more time sinking. 100%. He's literally just walked in through the door. He just got his pictures taken today. So yeah, I don't expect him to sign the team, but I just wanted to put out there that he actually has been registered. So yeah, it is what it is. It's got another comment here. Adidas makes better jerseys than Nike. Do you know what? I feel like, yeah, for me as well, you know, just got another comment, makes better jerseys than Nike. Nice one, bro. Mashallah. Thank you. So, yeah, I have to agree with that, to be fair, because I was going through my old shirts and a lot of them were the Adidas ones. So, you know, when we had Torres and all those players from back in the day, and I was just like, these tops feel nicer when you play in them as well, and they just look nicer as well. Nike for me have been a bit disappointing in terms of their designs, and I'm just
Nike use templates. Honestly, it's ridiculous. I think the kit that we had in the COVID season with that white stripe down the line, they basically use that same template for Chelsea the next season with the yellow stripe instead. It's literally just like, all right, here's a style. We'll just change the colors for the team, and that's it.
It's so true. And do you know what the funny thing for me as well is, like, I feel like they're trying to make a connection with the fans, but every season they just replicate old designs from back in the day. So like this season, the away kit is the white and the green, which was...
I literally have that kit. It's from New Balance, like from 5 years ago. It's the same kit.
New Balance, and then even before, now I'm going to definitely show my age now. So mid-90s, we had that shirt as well from like the Robbie Fowler days and all sorts. So that was like the original design from there. So, and I think last year as well, we had a couple of designs. So every year they just, you know, duplicate our old designs, which is a bit annoying. Even the home kit is an old kit that we had when I think Mike Lowen used to play for us back in the day. So if you
late 90s,
late 90s. So yeah, a bit lazy on that part. Where I feel like Adidas actually come up with new designs. So I feel like Arsenal always have the best kits because they've come up with new concepts, new designs. So yeah, I think we're actually signing a new contract or doing an extension with Nike. So yeah, hopefully they've got some brighter heads to kind of come up with new ideas. But if it's replicated, then yeah, it is what it is. But you know, we still buy the shirts. We still got to support the team at the end of the day. So
to be fair, a kit is a kit. If a kit wins it, then it's the best kit of the season.
Yeah, as long as it brings us the glory, you know.
Exactly. Then you know, I'll buy that kit every single year.
Yeah, it's got another comment here. Nike sucks. I agree. My young brother can make better. I'm sure your young brother could, because it's laziness from there. They probably just quickly did a Google of like all the Liverpool shirts from back in the day and said, "Yo, do you know what? Let's do that. Let's just copy those colors." So yeah,
honestly, if they took Twitter concepts down, like they could create so many incredible kits. Because Twitter concepts, some unbelievable designs.
I've seen some good ones as well. You're right. You know, I've seen some, especially like the shirts where it's like black as well, and they've got some. Yeah, there's some good ones out there. So come on, Nike, you got to step it up a little bit. But I will say, to be fair, I do like the kits this year. I do like the home kit. I actually do like the green and the white one. I think that one is a bit of a Marmite situation where you either love it or you hate it. I actually do like the purple one. Purple one's a different color, so I don't actually mind it this year. Previous years, I haven't been a big fan, so I might buy these shirts later on this season. But you know, we'll see how it goes. But back to the starting lineup. So, would you play Trent in this formation? You would say?
Yeah, definitely. I think just as I was saying, he's a little bit more used to that role. And if you remember, for England, he was playing that as a number 6 solely, and even for Liverpool in pre-season, he was playing that DM role this summer as the sole player. And I have a hunch, and I think I have a feeling that we all feel pretty certain that Thiago will leave Liverpool this summer. You know, as wonderful as he is, he's just not available enough, and he's got another setback again today, so he's not going to be available.
I heard,
for a few more weeks. And I think Klopp probably does want to see Trent come into that midfield role, either as a holding midfielder or as an advanced midfielder. And just thinking about that comment earlier about Jeremy Frimpong and a potential new right back going forward in the next year or two. And I think Klopp wants to see Trent play as much as he possibly can in midfield. And you know, everyone's been saying how good Trent is in midfield, and you know how great his passing is. So you know, and he can do that in that position. So I think going forward, he'll play Trent there. Maybe in some of the bigger games, he'll be a bit more cautious and play Trent as an out and out right back. But for against Villa, when we will probably dominate position, I think he'll want to play him there.
I agree. I think there will be games where he will play that inverted role or play in a double pivot. But because we've got so many options this year, even so, I know Thiago's injured, which is a shame. Bajtic, I know he's been on the bench, but he hasn't really played, hasn't come off the bench yet. So it remains to be seen in terms of how fully fit he is. But Trent is, at least he's an option for that role. You know, we've got players that can play in different positions, different systems. We've not had that over the years. You know, our right back is literally just a right back from back in the day. So it's good to know that Trent can actually play in midfield if required. Long term, that might be his role, but for me, I'm all about the team's success right now. So if he has to play right back, I know he's not happy playing there. Midfield is definitely his role. You can tell in terms of interviews when that topic's always brought up. He's not happy, and he just says he loves playing in midfield. So his time will come. But I feel like we've got such great midfielders in our squad for the first time. We just have to let everything flow. So he was still playing that role at some point, but I feel like for our system as well, especially if we play 4-2-3-1, I'm hoping that's the case. He will still be deployed as a right back. Just got another comment here from Vama. I think Klopp will let Thiago go in the season. Yeah, I think he will, unfortunately. Thiago's one of my favorite players, not even just Liverpool, like and players in general. So, yeah, it would be a shame. Obviously, injuries have sort of hampered his involvement within the squad. But, he can still play a big role this season in terms of mentoring the youngsters in the team, because we've got a very young squad, as Anish mentioned earlier on. So still play a big part in terms of our success this season, and hopefully he can stay fit whenever that is, and then actually get some game time as well. So back to the lineup. So advanced eights, I pretty think is a shoo-in, but I'll let you take the floor. Who would you play in those positions?
I think we're probably picking the two same players, so McAllister and Szoboszlai. I just don't feel there's anyone in the team who can push for those specific positions. Obviously, Gravenberch is, if he is included in the squad, but right now, and with the way Szoboszlai is playing, I think he's probably the first three names on the team sheet alongside Alisson and Salah, and if Van Dijk was available, he's been absolutely incredible. And the way he covers ground, and he's actually exceeded my expectations, because from where I've seen him play in Hungary, I think there was a match against England in the Euros, Euro qualifier, I think quite recently, where I saw him play at the Euros, and for Leipzig as an out-and-out attacking midfielder / right-sided attacker, to now play as a ball-winning, box-to-box, tackling aggressive midfielder. I think is quite brilliant, how he's evolved so quickly, and I think he's just a must start on Sunday.
Totally agree. My only question would be, which side would you play on? Would you play on the left side or right side? Because I think that's a big debate amongst us Liverpool fans.
So I think he's been playing on the right so far. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's where he started his first three matches, and I think that's probably the best position, right now to play him in. And McAllister, it just gives us the nice balance, because McAllister as well, I think for Brighton last season, he was often, he did play as a number 10 quite often, but when he was a defensive mid or playing in that double pivot, he was on the left side. I think Caicedo was on the right. So it just gives us that perfect balance. It's a continuation of where these two players have played in the past in their careers, and how Szoboszlai, was involved with those 2 goals against Bournemouth, win the penalty because he was in that right-sided position in attack. Forced the third goal being on that right side off midfield when Jota tapped in, and it's just not nice for him. And I think it works for him right now as well, and it works for us.
Yeah, I think having McAllister on the left and Szoboszlai is the right balance. The good thing about both of the players, they can actually interchange during the game if required and still be effective going forward. So good collective of players to have there. Just got a couple more comments here. So I've got Samuel who says, Sobo, seriously my new favorite player. Listen, that is my guy there. So I'm happy he's a Liverpool player. The boss, as I like to call him now. Samuel as well. I just hope we unleash Maka. Got a feeling our tactics choke his ability. Yeah, I feel like with Endo hopefully playing a more of a starting role now, and we've got Gravenberch as well coming into the team, we should be able to see McAllister further up top. But having said that, I feel like Gravenberch and McAllister as a double pivot could work as well together. I feel like that would be a good balance. going forward. But it's options for Klopp to have, which he probably hasn't had in the past. But what would you say?
Options, like bringing a big smile to my face. For so long, for so many years, and last season in particular, it was either no options or the same options who were just going to deliver a subpar performance. And it feels good to have other players there.
We were so predictable. Everyone called it the Brexit midfield at times, and that became very annoying, especially as Liverpool fans. But now we can have different options, different systems, different personnel, depending on who our opposition is. So look, for me, it's exciting times going forward. Front three. So, Mo Salah hasn't been sold from what I know. 3 more minutes until the end of the window. So I'll put him there, which is safe to say, unless I hear some breaking news in the next moment or so, which I doubt. So I'll place him over there. These two positions will always be debatable amongst us fans. Let's start with the left. Who would you play on the left-hand side?
So I think it has to be Diaz right now. He's been brilliant at the start of the season. Scored 2 great goals. Been an absolute threat on that left side. Obviously, last week didn't really count. It was one player had to be hooked off, and it was him. But even in that one moment where he dribbled past a few Newcastle players and nearly scored, it just shows how he can do something from nothing. And it reminds me of Mane's early days at the club when he can just create something from absolutely nothing. So I think he's a given right now. I know that Núñez obviously played there last season on the left when Diaz was injured, and we were rotating our attack quite a lot, trying to find the best formula. But Diaz is just a typical Klopp player, and I think there's no question that he will start this Sunday.
Yeah, this season I feel like he's been unleashed. The goal he scored last week against Bournemouth, 2 weeks ago, that was just a sensational acrobatic goal.
Yeah, like only you can't teach that. It's just something that he's come instinctively.
No, you can't see it. That's when that street football comes into play on the professional stage. There, he was phenomenal play. He was 2-2 before the Newcastle game. Unfortunately, had to get substituted. Not at his fault, of course. He had to be sacrificed due to Van Dijk getting a red card, and then had to change the shape of the team. But at least he's been rested. I guess that's the only positive I can say. So he'll be raring to go in his fixture. Just got another comment here from Fama. I would go for Diaz as well. It was the only bad sub last game to sub off Diaz. I know a lot of fans are saying that shouldn't have been the guy to get substituted, but for me, I think at that time and the formation that we actually played with 10 men, I feel like he was the guy to go, because Gakpo, for me, is more efficient on that left-hand side when he played in that sort of midfield 4. When we were that all midfield, we had Salah up top, so we had one minus player. But I feel like he looked more comfortable playing that role and did a decent job trying to cover Robertson. And Robertson had a decent game. For me, he wasn't exposed during that game and did a good job defensively as well. So I know we were all excited to see him play, but I feel like for that game, that situation, I think Klopp made the right call in that regards. Big question, Anish. Who plays up top?
This is tough. I love Gakpo to bits, and I think he is Bobby Regen 2.0, and I can see that happening in the medium to long term. But I don't think he's set the season alight so far. And again, like McAllister, it's been unfair. It's quite unfair, in fact, to judge him, because against Chelsea, against Bournemouth, he's playing in a position that he's not used to. And even right now, he's still getting used to playing that false 9 role. And against Newcastle, where we had our backs to the wall, and then he had to be put out to the left rather than playing in a false 9. And I would understand if Klopp does play him, so then we can hopefully play a game with 11 players and have our full complement, midfield and attack. But I think for this game and the way Villa are, they have a lot of good players in that team and a lot of good defense, and they've strengthened with Pau Torres. With technically a new signing because he was injured for all of last season, with Diego Carlos, Kamara as a false as the holding midfielder in there as well, and John McGinn. I think this is the match where Jota feels the right player, because what Jota brings is that, well, the fact that I think he's just as good as linking up with the left and the right forward as Gakpo is, but I think Jota has just that edge for a goal and that eye for a goal. You know, the one against Bournemouth is just a typical striker's goal. You know, one where Gakpo might not have that instinct to follow up if the keeper parries it, but Jota would, and he just has a knack of getting important goals at the right time. And I think it's the right player, right opponent for him to start this Sunday.
So you're going for Jota up top,
even without Nunes. And as much as I love Nunes, and I do think he will succeed, I've never been more confident about a Liverpool player succeeding than him. And there was a stat I saw about Nunes that he's got more goals than Suarez did in his first 45 matches.
Yeah.
But I think right now we're still trying to figure it out. I think Klopp, Pep Linders, the coaching staff, I think they're still trying to figure out how we can get the best out of Nunes right now. And when September comes, when we've got those 3 matches, matches every 3-4 days, I think that's when his chance will come to really prove himself and show that he can be involved in the system. But with Villa, with the threat that they will pose, I think Jota is just the right player right now for Sunday.
You sold it very well, but for me, you have to put Nunes. The way he played, I know it was a small cameo, I know it was, but I was impressed. The way he
it was incredible. Those 2 finishes, those are finishes that he would have missed last season, but he
would have.
so ruthless, and it was incredible how he was in on goal and just didn't look like missing as soon as he was in. I do get your point.
I have to put my foot down this one. I have to put Nunes there. Don't get me wrong, I've been very impressed with Jota, and I think we actually did a show last season as well where I think you actually shared my same viewpoint in terms of Jota, where he needed to improve some parts of his game where I think his link up was not quite there. His passing in terms of through ball wasn't there, but for me, he showed that last week against Newcastle, and I feel like it's an area he's definitely improved in. So for me, I would have no problem having Jota in the start, but I gotta have Darwin.
Personally, I would prefer Nunes. I want Nunes to succeed. He's got the number 9 shirt, a shirt that's one of the biggest numbers in Liverpool's history with the players who've worn that shirt in the past. And I would, I'd be one of the happiest fans in the world if Darwin Nunes starts on Sunday. But I just think Klopp will resist it for now. But yeah, I'll agree with you that I prefer to have Nunes in the 11.
Fair play. Fama also said, let's get Darweezy. So yeah, you've got to put him in. We've got to do it for the people. So
I've actually made a shout this season with Nunes. I think he gets 40 goal contributions in all comps this season. So like 30 goals, 10 assists in all comps. I'm
30 goals and 10 assists.
I'm so confident about Darwin Nunes. I just think he's absolutely unreal. And I was watching the Gary Neville podcast. They do that after the Sunday matches, and he was giving a good comparison of him, Gakpo, and Jota. And obviously, all 3 are brilliant players, and they've all got their own talents.
Yeah.
But as a defender, you don't want a guy like Nunes, a 6-foot+ physical, really quick striker who wants to run in behind all the time. As a defender, you don't want to play against that. And that's exactly how Nunes got his 2 goals, by being a nuisance, by running in behind and showing that lethalness in front of goal. So I do think Nunes will fire this season. I just hope that Klopp will give him the game time.
I hope he starts this game, because I feel like something just clicked in that Newcastle game, because you'll get a lot of players that obviously aren't content with being on the bench, but he came on and just made a different type of impression. I just feel like that was a statement to Klopp that, look, I'm ready. I'm ready to go, because he had a good preseason for me as well, scored some good goals.
I'll say that as well. Yeah, he was very good in preseason.
Very good in preseason. So, and whenever he's come on, he's doing a decent job. One of my criticisms of Nunes last year was his first touch, and I think in terms of his finishing, he was very erratic on many occasions, especially on one-on-one duels. But I feel like something he's looked forward to, ironing out in his game, and so far I'm seeing it. So I feel like when you've got a striker in such rich vein or form, scoring 2 goals, scoring the match winner as well, you got to start him. That's my viewpoint.
I'm happy to agree with it. Like I say, I love Nunes a bit, so I wanted to succeed, and I wanted to start as many games as possible. I just hope Klopp will listen and will find a reason to put him in that team. And I think quite interestingly as well, and this goes back to the top of the point and to your show yesterday, which I caught a bit of, with the 4-2-3-1, with, let's say, Szoboszlai, and with Darwin Nunes, who, let's say, is his new version of Lewandowski. Klopp's in the past in his traditional Dortmund team played with a number 9, a proper striker, and it was his recent decision to get Nunes last summer, so he definitely thinks this is a guy for me long term. And I just hope, it'll be sooner rather than later where he will be one of the first names in that team sheet.
And that's an interesting comparison because he has compared Nunes to Lewandowski, where I think when he first signed him, he would literally say, look, if you can score this amount of goal, I'll give you like a 5 or whatnot. Obviously, it'll be euros where they are. But like they had this sort of like ongoing bet where the more goals you score, the more I'll pay you as well. And it's just that kind of like motivation for him to do well. Because apparently when Lewandowski joined Dortmund, his shooting was kind of like Nunes. It was quite erratic. He wasn't polished up. So obviously he had to learn how to finish or to be more of a composed finisher. And I feel like Nunes coming there. So, I do feel like Klopp sees those traits in Nunes as well. So hopefully, we get to see him unleash just like Diaz has as well this season. Another comment from Fama Hayes. I think he will get in this season with Salah. Still, they have a really good chemistry. I think they do as well. I totally agree with that one.
That second goal last week was literally Salah and Nunes. Yeah.
Even the first goal was a set by Jota. So for me, that's why I'm impressed with Jota in terms of how he's playing as well. Another comment here. If you remember when Salah was negotiating his contract, one of his asks was to get a striker, and the answer was Nunes. Does that not tell you something? Yeah. I feel like that is because we were so used to playing that false 9 system. We were quite predictable at times. Does that make sense? So I feel like we needed to have another outlet that can be a sort of a different option. We had Origi, obviously, cult hero. I think he's joined Nottingham Forest today.
He's coming back, yeah. I'm absolutely gassed. I'm looking forward to his standard 2-goal performance against Everton home and away this season.
Pickford is hiding on the,
looking forward to it
in the ground, and I'm loving it as well at the same time. So so he was a decent option for us, but for me, he wasn't consistent enough. Whenever he started, he didn't really have an impact in the game. I feel like he was always better as an impact sub. Nunes for me has a different type of level, different type of game. So Darwin, I think his ceiling is very high. Hopefully we see that this season. Another comment here from Fama in terms of his lineup. So he's gone for Alisson, Trent, Matip, Gomez, and then he's gone for Maka, Endo, Szoboszlai, Diaz, Darwin. So I feel like that's pretty much the same team, isn't it? So, and he's gone for 3-1 prediction. So he said, I wish he could get a clean sheet. I wish that as well. So let's get into it. Anish, to be fair, you made that big statement in terms of 40 goals and assists, and you're going to come on the show again. So we'll keep that one in mind because that's it. I love
if I come back, if I'm on the show again at the end of the season, he's close to that. I'm gonna give myself a big pat on the back because I'm feeling very, very confident about him.
You put that energy in the universe, so it's all good in that regard.
I hope I haven't jinxed it.
But in terms of this game, what would you go into your score predictions, and who do you think will be the goal scorers?
So I'm inclined to go with that same comment. I do think a 3-1 does feel quite likely. We've got goals in us. There's no question about that. Still not perfect defensively. Obviously, for 2 reasons. The system isn't perfect right now, and the personnel. Endo's still trying to get up to speed. Robertson trying to figure out this new role, and as good as Matip and Gomez were last week, with all due respect, Konate and Van Dijk would be the main 2 players if they were available. And obviously with Alisson in goal, I think it's very fortunate that we have him, so he'll keep the scoreline down. But I'm going with 3-1. I think with the high that we've had just this whole week, it's been a near perfect week with obviously the result with Gravenberch coming in. I think the mood around the club just feels so much better than it was last season, and playing at Anfield where it will always be a great atmosphere, and a match like Aston Villa where the fans will obviously be up for it, knowing how difficult it will be. I think, I thought 3-1 will be good. And I think in terms of scorers, I'm backing Salah to get the first. I think this is the day for Szoboszlai as well. I think Szoboszlai gets off the mark for Liverpool too. Yeah. And if Nunes does start, I'm going to say him. If Nunes doesn't start, and if it's Jota, which I do feel is quite likely, I think Jota will be our best scorer.
Okay, that's interesting. It's a full house. I'm actually going with the same scoreline. I'm not just trying to follow suit here. I had 3-1 written down beforehand. I feel like we've got goals in this team. I think defensively, because it's different personnel, that might just might unfortunately lead us to conceding a goal. So in terms of the Villa goal, I'll probably go for Moussa Diaby, someone I'm a big fan of.
He's fantastic. I had him in my FPL team from game week 1, and I've predicted him to be one of the signings of the summer. I think him, Maddison, and obviously Szoboszlai. I think they'll be like three of the big players this year.
Yeah, I've said that as well. I feel like top player, a player I really wanted at the club as well. He was only bought for 40 million, so that was definitely one for us to go. But might get him in the future, who knows? But so for me, he's on fire right now, so he will get the goal for Villa. For Liverpool, I'm going for Szoboszlai. I think he will open his account. I'm going to say this probably every week until he opens his account. He's just my favorite player right now. So I think he will open his account in this one. I'm going to go for Nunes. And I'm going to go for McAllister goal. I think McAllister might be in the score sheet as well. So yeah.
I have to ask this question, obviously, with penalties now as well, because Salah's been he's lost his mojo, let's say. It was so many matches, a couple of years even, where he was scoring every single week. Scored in the Champions League final, of course, with a penalty, and then all of a sudden missed that spot kick against Bournemouth. I think that started the rally. Then Arsenal the week later, and then again Bournemouth again this season, even though he got the rebound. So I do wonder now if his days are going to be numbered with penalties, and especially with Szoboszlai and McAllister, who both took them for Brighton and Leipzig and for their nations as well. I do wonder if Salah's time is coming to an end on spot kicks.
It's an interesting point, I still think Salah should be the primary penalty taker. I think just because of his manner in terms of he's trying to be that top goal scorer, and people miss penalties here and there. It's all good, but I still feel like he's the guy that can still do that job. But having said that, at least we've got players that can come in and do it. McAllister, fantastic penalty taker for Brighton. So both like his technique in those penalty kicks as well. You got to watch some of his highlight reels from his Leipzig days. Phenomenal. And for me, he's going to be the free kick taker as well, because his long distance shooting is phenomenal. So look, we've got good options to say the least. I think last year we probably had Salah and it'll be Milner, and then if you look elsewhere, you wouldn't feel as confident to have someone step up for a penalty. Maybe Fabinho actually, he had a good
Fabinho's the only other one, Fabinho still hold his penalty against Chelsea in the cup final really hard, because that's ice cold. That was
really ice cold. So I still think he will be the main penalty taker. But if he's not on the pitch, he's been substituted a few times. So at least we've got other players that can step in and do the job. So just got a few more comments here from Fama. Yeah, Mossa is good. He's very, very good. And then he says, shoot, you reminded me to add him in my fantasy next week. Yeah, the deadline's gone today. So you'll have to do it next week.
It's 2 weeks. It's a national break now. So so forget about that. Yeah, no football next week, which is very sad.
Fair enough. And another comment here. Mako Sobo for pens. We'll look for Neymar trying to get in Sobo's head as he was kicking Finn. I've seen that clip. Yeah, he wasn't phased one bit at all. So shows that he's got that strong mentality and calm under pressure. We've got another comment here. Man, Sobo is as calm and elegant as it can get. I feel he will have an impact of Ronaldo when he joined Man U. For me, like I've said it on my previous show. I might be getting ahead of myself. For me, he has that ilk of Kevin De Bruyne, the way he plays. I feel like I know that's a big statement. I know. But stylistically, for me, we've got our Kevin De Bruyne now, and I also feel like McAllister kind of is like our Gundogan as well at the same time, and they gel very well. They complement each other really well. So, I'm not saying he's going to be like Kevin De Bruyne, but it might be better. That's even more of a big statement. Put myself in the hole right now.
Wow. Okay. No, that's not a hole. I like it. It's confidence.
It's confidence. Might get
£60 million player. He should be good. It costs a lot of money. So you'd expect him to be. De Bruyne's probably been one of the best midfielders in Premier League history. I think it's a fair comment to make that. But you'd hope that he can get to a very high ceiling on the slide.
Yeah. And that's the kind of aim he needs to have in terms of being a top player. I feel like he has all of the capabilities to be that guy as well. So really, really interested to see how
taking the number as well. Like that's something of big confidence. Okay, we're not going to remember the last guy who wore the number 8, but the one before that wasn't half bad. So for him to take that shirt, you know, it means he feels like he can be the guy. That's
his idol as well. So you know, Hungarian Gerald I've heard over the net. So you know, we'll take that. We'll take that too. Got a comment here from Arsenal fan. Do you think we'll beat United? Good question. I think you will beat United. I saw some tweets earlier on before we came on the show where someone, I've forgotten who it is now, said that United have the best midfield duo with Amrabat and Casemiro. For me, that's just a bit of a shameful comment to say out loud. But I'm not saying it because I'm a Liverpool fan. I don't think United are playing as a unit right now. For me, it's going to be a long season for them. I don't feel like they have the quality in the squad. I feel like they've actually digressed a little bit in terms of numbers, in terms of personnel as well. What would you say in terms of this fixture? Do you think Arsenal will beat Manchester United?
I think they'll wipe the floor with Manchester United. And again, this is not anything to do about Liverpool, being a Liverpool fan, or anything at all. I just feel, I mentioned earlier in the show, I just don't think the mood at United doesn't feel good right now. Obviously, they got Rasmus Højlund, and you know they've got their new striker, but it remains to be seen how well he does and if he'll play. But Rashford doesn't feel too happy right now. I think the mood in the club from the top, that the fact they Glazers haven't sold, and United fans were expecting the club to be sold before this window started. I didn't think they got their first choice players. Obviously, Mason Mount, I think he is a good player, but similar to Havertz, I think they're trying to figure out the best way to use him.
Correct.
And you know he's not going to play this Sunday; he's injured. But someone like him, you know, not gelling in immediately, and the fact that they still got some players that they really wanted to get rid of. You know, they wanted to get rid of Maguire. He's still there, and having, you know, I do feel Maguire has been treated a bit harshly at Man United. You know, he's been thrown under a bus, and he's not the best centre back in the world, but he's definitely, you know, he's been made out to be something a lot worse than he actually is.
Yeah.
And for him to still be in the club, to still be in that training ground and on the bench, it must feel odd for those Man United players and for the club and for the team. So yeah, I don't feel Man United are in a great place right now, and I do expect Arsenal. I don't think they were great last week against Fulham, but with Arteta and being a Guardiola disciple, he will want a reaction, and you can see how fired up Arteta is. Maybe a bit too much, but it's more often a good thing than not. And I think he'll want to put in those Arsenal players. I think Arsenal will want to show a reaction, and being at home, I just feel they'll have way too much for Man United. So I think they'll win like 3-0. I think they'll be very comfortable.
Yeah, I think it'll be a big scoreline as well. I just don't see the United team gelling right now. The signings you mentioned, like man, like you said, I agree. He's a good player. We were also linked to him as well. But I feel like they've played him in a deeper role as well, which for me just doesn't work. He's
played him as a 6 in pre-season. I was like, he's not a 6. He's never been a 6. He's been a number 10, and at times, a right-sided forward, or at worst, a box-to-box mid.
Yeah, that might change now because is the Amrabat news official? I haven't.
I think it is. I've seen some notifications pop up on my phone. I've just seen Amrabat on BBC Sports. So I would think it's done now.
It's done now. So they've got Amrabat, and then I guess Casemiro, but then they've got Bruno Fernandes playing as a 10, which is fine. I feel like the young striker that they got, Højlund, who for me is actually a very, very good striker. I feel like personally they should have signed an experienced striker to kind of come into the team, where I feel like it's too much pressure on the young guy's shoulders right now, where he's supposed to be the answer to all of their problems right now. So had they had another experienced head in the squad, could have rotated both of the players, and then once he got his sort of rhythm within the team, then you can let him blossom, and then the other guy can just be the backup player. So that would have been the smart thing to do with regards to that player there. You've got Martial still there, isn't he? He hasn't been sold.
Incredibly, can't believe it. I still think he's got a few more years on his contract as well. Amazingly,
still got that clause, Ballon d'Or. Maybe
I was going to say that came to my mind. Monaco must be really triggered to have that clause in that contract, because I don't think he'll be happening anytime soon.
No, not at all. So they've got Rashford. Sancho is someone that's a bit more, I would say, debatable in terms of his form. Can be inconsistent at times. Anthony, for me, yeah, I don't know. He's not the guy that I think Man United fans thought he was. So yeah,
it's a flip of a coin when you buy from Ajax. And I know at the top of the show I said buying from Ajax, you would think they are a good player, and more often than not, they are good players and they do have very good potential. But it's a different league when you come over to England. It's so much tougher, so much more physical, and I do think there is talent there, but it just doesn't seem to work right now in this country.
Yeah, just got some comments here. Yes, I think our cousins in London will spank Man United. Not sure about the cousins element, but yeah, they'll definitely spank them. Arsenal fan gives us a thumbs up. Thank you, Arsenal fan. And another comment is, I agree. They do not have the quality chemistry, and even the tactics. For me, the tactics are wild from the coach. Like you said, he's lazy from his part. He's just buying players that he's worked with from Ajax. So he's got Onana, he's got Martinez, and he's got Anthony in the squad as well. But they just even was it Van der Beek as well? He's still there. So
that was I think they're trying to get rid of him, but I'm not sure they found them a club.
Yeah, I don't think they did. So the players are players that should be accustomed to his tactics, but he just hasn't gelled. So I just feel like he's not buying the right players for the system that he wants to deploy, and maybe he's just doing too many chopping and changing right now. It's not. I'm glad that they're struggling right now. It's not something I'm losing any sleep over. But from a neutral football fan's point of view, it's not clicking, and I feel like it's going to be a long season for them, and they could potentially miss out on Champions League qualification. In my opinion, maybe too early to say, but I feel like they were in a better position last year than they were this year. So
I think they were given a break last year as well. The fact that Chelsea, Spurs, and ourselves took a season off, and they could capitalize on that, and it's similar to like what Spurs are going through right now. The fact that Ten Hag was able to come in, and United had been dealing with so many years of bad football under Solskjaer, under Van Gaal, Mourinho, and then Ten Hag was a breath of fresh air. They were living on that high moment, but now Ten Hag's had a season. He has been able to get rid of some players. He has brought in more of his own players. I think there is a lot more expectation now for them to like show, okay, we are going to be Manchester United, the proper Manchester United, not a counter-attacking team that they have been for a long time.
Definitely, I definitely agree with that. Just got another comment here. Do a watch along, bro, at the game time. We'd love to get in one of your lives. Yeah, I might break the laptop or something. So you know what? It's something that might be something that I do down the pipeline. At this stage, yeah, I'm not sure. Do you know what? I was actually thinking about it the other day, to be fair. So
watch-alongs will be like, imagine a watch-along for last week's match. That would have been one of the best watch-alongs in our history.
You know what? That's probably why I was like, do you know what if I did do a match on? Because that game was just, I feel like that game, if you didn't watch it live, you couldn't feel the emotion. It's just one of those games where it's just like you had to watch it live to really feel it. So yeah, that definitely put a food for thought in terms of, maybe I should do watch along, but we'll see. Just watch this space in terms of the future there. And then we've got another comment. Man divided will lose 3-0. Yeah, not bad shot. I think they will lose 3-0. I think that's the same score as what you said as well, Anish. So definitely in regards to that. And another comment: when you watch Man United this year, seriously, it's like middle school football. Everyone is running after the ball, and the slow ones, at least, they had a better shape. It's not a bad analogy, to be fair. They just don't know what they're doing. They're just clueless. I feel like they don't have that same energy, that drive. I don't think last year they had it to that extent either, but you could kind of see the progression within the team. I feel like their away form was dreadful. I thought our form was bad. Theirs was just as bad, maybe even worse.
They still haven't won. Well, he still hasn't won a match against the top 9 since he's taken charge last year. So 4-0 against Brentford, 7 against us, of course. Man City 6-3. Even Spurs, they were 2-0 up, and Spurs were atrocious last year. And Chelsea, they still drew those matches.
Yeah, Spurs got one of them this season already as well. So yeah, it's not looking good for United to say the least. Just got another comment here from Samira. Thank you for your comment. What's your think of Gravenberch, and where do you see him in the future? So yeah, we touched on this earlier on. So Anish, I could speak for us. We're very, very happy with the signing. If Klopp listens to my philosophy, I feel like we could play a 4-2-3-1, and that would be the best system to get the best out of Gravenberch. He can actually even be embedded into it as playing as a lone 6. I know that sounds wild, but when Gini came, he was a player that everyone has compared to as well. he had to deploy a different way of playing. He was known to be a number 10 or played in left wing at times and right wing for Feyenoord back in the day as well. So he was an attack-minded player, but he did a fantastic job for us. So he can definitely be embedded into that role. So even Fabinho as well, he actually played in double pivot for Monaco, and that took him time to get accustomed to playing that sole number 6. So
there's one thing you could say as well about sorry to cut you off, but there's one thing you can say about Jurgen Klopp and what he does with players. Just think the unexpected.
Yeah, true.
He never, he buys players and then changes them to different players. Trent was a midfielder, played a right back. Gakpo, a left winger, is now a false nine.
Exactly, that's the beauty of it as well. So fans are getting disgruntled, but let him put on the Liverpool shirt. Let's see how he does on the pitch. Then we can kind of judge our opinions in terms of does he fit the role or does he fit in terms of the position that we played. Right now, I'm happy he's through the door. Played like I wanted for a long time. So answer to your question, we're certainly over the moon on this show here. Another comment from Fama, I think he will be a good backup this season and permanent role when we sell Salah next year. Then Sobol takes Salah place, Maka, Endo, another Dean Gavin. I don't want to sell Salah. I'm not going with that notion. We got to keep him. He's, life without Salah just seems a bit imaginable for me right now. So
it feels sad, doesn't it? Like that old guard is they're all going / gone. Salah's going to be the next, and then that will be officially the end of the front three. That one of the best attacking forces in the club's history. And I think they would have cashed in this summer if who came in as Al Ittihad, right?
Ittihad, yeah.
If they came in even 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I think Liverpool would have taken the money. And I think they would have thought, okay, that's enough time to find a like player for the long term. I could definitely see them selling next summer. Unfortunately, again, I don't want it to go. I think he's one of those players, and I remember when he signed his new contract, I was a little bit nervous because I would have thought, okay, what if he does in the Aubameyang? He's got his big payday, and now he's just gonna coast on the beach. But he's not that player. He's far from it. You can still see how important he is for us. He's been involved in every, been involved in a goal in every week so far. So I think he'll still have a big future for us. But when the money's on the table, it's sometimes too good to refuse.
Fair enough. I don't want to think that far ahead. So for me, it's like let's just enjoy the season, and then we'll revisit that situation in the following months or by next year, hopefully. Fama says that's his prediction. Fair play. Another comment from Samira. To be honest, I wouldn't mind Mo gone next season for 200 million. Only if we get someone like Mbappe. Mbappe is just gone.
Forget about it. No, I actually furious with Mbappe. Like I want him to leave PSG. I want him to go to Madrid. I want him to go to like a proper club where he'll actually show where he can be the next big player in the world. Compete with Haaland right now. He's not doing it.
I actually thought he was going to go Saudi this year, like on loan, like for 1 year.
Yeah, that incredible deal. I think it was something, £700 million over 1 year.
Yeah,
goodness me,
crazy. But I thought it might have worked because I feel like the way he's he's burnt the bridges with the relationship that he has at the club as well.
He's got back in the team now, so surprisingly.
Yeah, he played last week, didn't he? So he's back in the team now. I think they have no choice but to play him. But I feel like the way he ruined relations within the club, I thought maybe they would have just shipped him out because they were willing to take any offer. They were like hands and say, look, rivalry, who cares about that? We'll take any offer if it's brought to the table. So still a PSG player. I see him going to Real Madrid next year. I don't see him going to any other club. That is his dream destination. So if
Mbappe was wherever going to come to us, it would have been when he was at Monaco. And I think there was a lot of stories that came out. We put in 100 million back in 2017.
Yeah, we tried. We tried.
Putting it in, but just I guess wages is another thing. He probably wants 800 grand a week or something like that.
I think it was even before that. I think when he was like 17, 18, we tried to sign him, and Klopp was still at the Realm as well. So I think when he just broke into the team, we were trying to get him. But by that time, he already made his name in the French league there. So always going to be a difficult task to get him out of there. Another comment, they will come back next year. They have a project, and if they want something, they will come back for it. Definitely. Look, Saudis, they're not going anywhere. They will come back for Mo Salah in next year, maybe in the summer after, because Salah's, I think he's contracted until 2025, right? So
yeah, 2 years left.
So then that can, yeah. So I think he'll go at that. Yeah, I think he'll go at the end of his contract. If I was to make a bold prediction, don't like doing that, but you know, it is what it is. I want to see Mo Salah go. Family with another comment. Sobo played Salah role in Leipzig. He will get us the assists and goals. Will come from Diaz, Nunes, Gakpo. You know what's funny? So a lot of fans were saying that, oh, if we sell him, then Sobo will do literally what Fama has just said. And I was just like, I'm not with that. I know he can do that job. And look, I'm not disregarding the comment. I know he can do that job because I've seen him for Leipzig. I've been watching him for a long time, Sobo's live. But Mo Salah is Mo Salah. He's a different breed. So for me, you can't really find like-for-like replacements. I know there's actually a young player that we're after in Bakayoko who was close to signing for Brentford. He has that similar style of play. But for me, like, there's no one out there to replace Salah like-for-like. So yeah, I'm just happy he's still at Liverpool this season. And let's just enjoy him until the near future, I would say. Another comment here from Samira. Happy with the window. Spent about 170 million on midfielders. Is it 170 million?
So it's 60 for Sobo, 35 potentially rising to 50 for McAllister.
Yeah.
35 for Gravenberch. And
yeah,
50 for Endo. So what's that? 50, let's say including add-ons.
Add-ons,
McAllister 50. So 100, yeah. Oh, yeah, 160, yeah. It could be up to 160.
Around that. So I wouldn't include add-ons because, you know, they've got to win league titles and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's around that spectrum. I don't actually think it's bad business. Like, I know I'm going to sound like a bit of a, you know, hater, but I love Jude Bellingham, but I would have preferred what we've done in terms of buying 3 players instead of 1. And Jude Bellingham will go on to be one of the best midfielders in world football, hands down. I'm not going to disagree with that. But we had real problems in our squad. We had an aging midfield. It wasn't even like, oh, we just needed that spark in midfield. We needed a whole revamp, and that's why we bought 3-4 players. This
major surgery.
We needed major surgery, so we've got that done. And you know, fair play to FSG. They, you know, backed the manager in terms of the players he wanted. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy in terms.
And let's still talk of obviously Andre. I think the Brazilian kid from Fluminense. I think they would have bought him in this summer if they were knocked out of the Copa Libertadores. I think it's something that could still be revisited in January.
I think so. I think January will be the time. I think West Ham were actually trying to sign him before today as well. They were trying to match the offer, but they were happy to kind of do like a pre-contract agreement where he joins in the January window. But I don't know if there was any truth to that rumor. But I can definitely see us going for him in January. And being that sort of player, I'd probably say he'd probably be Thiago's replacement going forward.
He's a bit interesting. I've been looking at at his stats, and he's great at interceptions, great at passing, but he's not really like a proper like Fabinho. Let's say like an out-and-out ball-winning midfielder. So again, it's one of those where you're not sure why Liverpool are signing him, why Klopp wants him, but one where they probably see, okay, we can mold this player into something that we want.
For me, I feel like it probably just shows that we are actually going to play a double pivot going forward. I think that's the vision that Klopp has. Because in a double pivot, I think he'd be fantastic as a lone number 6. Like you said, he's not really a destroyer, but he does have other great traits in terms of his ball ability. So yeah. So for me, I do see that happening, but you know, we'll see when that time comes. A few more comments here from Fama. Nope, for me, it's 6 out of 10. Fair play. I wouldn't argue with that, to be fair. I know a lot of fans wanted a centre back. They also wanted a right back. They also wanted a right wing. You know, we could have come up with a shopping list, but
it's not FIFA. Like, you know, we have good owners, we have rich owners, but we don't have Chelsea owners. We don't have Man City or Newcastle, even maybe Arsenal, and we do have constraints, and it's a bit annoying. But if we do go on to win the title this season, if we, you know, and I'll always say the point over the last, in the same period that we've been challenging Man City, I think everyone will always agree that Liverpool's triumphs will always be as highly, you know, applauded as Man City's because of what they've done with lesser resources, and it feels better that way. It just does.
It does. I'm not gonna lie. That's why I'm always a bit on the fence with the whole FSG in, FSG out. Like, there's times I'm not gonna lie. When it was the whole Caicedo incident, I think I was like a bit FSG out. I just didn't like the way that unfolded. But in general, I like the way they conduct business. I just feel like they don't do enough of it, in my opinion. There's markets where we haven't really looked into, like the South American market. So many gems out there. We could literally buy players for like 10, 15 million, have them as squad players, and then unleash them going forward. Rather than signing like a Luis Diaz for like 40, 50 million, how much we paid for them, and just paying that sort of that premium price. So I feel like they can do a lot better in terms of their business acumen. But I feel like, look, Gravenberch was a player I wanted. So Bosley is a player I wanted, and I wanted McAllister as well. So those players have come through the door. So, can't complain at all. Another comment here, 60 Sobos, 35 McAllister, 16 Endo, and 35. So 146 million. Yeah, that's the kind of ball mark I had in my head as well. So not bad. That's what Jude Bellingham plus salary and all that kind of jazz, signing on fees. We got four midfielders within that price. So for me, I'm happy.
Salary is the biggest thing as well. Like if you think about Milner was on a really high salary, Henderson was, Fabinho was, Ox was, and I think Schober's size on 120, Macca's on 150. So it's money you're saving there as well. And I doubt Gravenberch and Endo are on particularly high salaries given their ages and profile players.
Oxlade-Chamberlain was on high salary as well. Cato was robbing a living as well, being in the squad. So yeah, we've done well in terms of probably reducing down the wage bill there. Another comment, we got 52 million of transfer out. So we are 94 million net spending. Not good enough. We need a centre back and right back, quality ones. Yeah, it's just there. I feel like there were other areas we could have addressed, but at the same time, we've brought in quite a few players as well. So Klopp doesn't predominantly like to just have big wholesale changes into his squad. For maximum 5 players would have been the ball mark for Klopp. I don't think he likes to chop and change that much. But the reason this year he did so much business because it was, like you said, Anish, it was required. We needed major surgery in that midfield. So there was no hiding behind that, unfortunately. But end of the day, I'm still happy in terms of.
There's still January to go to. There's still every single chance we will sign another player in January, like we did with Gakpo last year, like we did with Diaz the year before. I don't think the club will ever rule out signing someone in January if it's needed.
And we've been signing players, like you said. Gakpo was last January. We had Diaz the following year. So if we need to make an acquisition, we will do it. So if, for example, Thiago, touchwood, I have to do that quite a few times with Thiago now, doesn't get injured, we still need to have those numbers in the team. So we still have January window to look into. But right now, I feel like we've got the numbers. Kwanzaa, for me, looks like a good centre-back. I know he's young, but at least we've got someone there that can learn off Virgil van Dijk as well. So, yeah, for me, the future's bright for that kid as well at the same time. Another comment here from Samira, I think getting a right-back isn't needed. When we got Ramsey and stuff, we also got Joe for now, but centre-back, I agree. Yeah, so Ramsey's on loan at, is it Preston that he's gone to?
Yeah. He is injured again, though, sadly. I think it's another long-term injury, so it's not good for him.
Oh, how long-term is it?
I don't know. I think it's, a few months, I think. I can't remember exactly, but I saw was a few months, like 2 months at least.
That's just a shame. It's just bad luck, isn't it? So talented boy, but yeah, if he's not fit, then nothing much we can do there. I actually don't mind Joe Gomez as a right back. I feel I was quite impressed whenever he made those cameos last season. But it's good to know that he can play that role and centre back whenever required. So yeah, going forward, I don't know. It depends on how Klopp sees us playing in terms of what system is the best suited one for this team. Said it numerous times, 4-2-3-1 is what I want, but we're playing 4-3-3 right now. Might even do the inverted role as we've got in the screen at the moment. So who knows in terms of the future? We'll see how that goes. Another comment from Samira. Do you know Todd Bowley contract says he must spend 2 billion in first 3 seasons or club goes back to Abramovich? I don't know if you're pulling my leg. That's hilarious if that is the case.
That would be something. I think that would be one of the most remarkable stories in football I would ever see.
That is unbelievable if that was the case. And then Fama said, well, for my little research, Todd is actually doing it very smart with the long contracts, and smashing the big feature.
They can't do that anymore. I think FIFA brought in a rule where Chelsea were able to get away with this at the start when Todd Bowley came in. They were giving out 8-year contracts when we first started buying players, and you could spread them out over that length of contract. But now, even for some reason, I don't understand why Chelsea are doing it, giving out 7-8-year contracts. But FIFA have now said you cannot spread a fee more than 5 years. So Yeah, it's I'm not sure exactly how they're doing it, and I guess right now they're trying to sell players to like comply with FFP.
Is that going to be
Ian
active?
Matson, but they couldn't go through.
Is that going to be active from January or is it from next summer? Because
I'm not sure when the timings are exactly, but I know it's something that's either has come in place or it will come in place soon.
Yeah, because Palmer got a 7-year contract with an option of a further year. So.
Honestly, that's a weird signing. Like I think you touched upon it at the top of the show, but I'm not quite sure why he went to Chelsea when everything is so settled at Man City and he's been coached by one of the best in the world.
I don't know. I feel like I remember that goal he scored was like a lovely curler as well, and I'm just thinking, do you know what? They've got their Mara's replacement right there within the squad. They've got someone that can actually play that role really well on the right wing. But I don't know. Money talks, I guess, in this day and age. Another comment here. These big transfers are rocking the market and shaking smaller clubs' ability to buy players. It's causing inflated prices. It almost like setting up the stage for the Saudis. Yeah, it is, unfortunately. If you're paying 100 million for a DM, something's wrong within the market. So, yeah. Just one of those ones. Obviously, clubs can do business in a more smart manner. Nottingham Forest, for me, made some good acquisitions this summer as well. So
they brought in, I think, Sangare, someone I think we were linked with earlier this summer. So it'll be interesting to see, if he balls out this year. I think a lot of us were thinking, why didn't we go for him when he was available for that price? 30 million, 40 million euros.
It's true. I feel like they've signed some good players, so definitely some gems there. By the way, the Premier League passed £2 billion this week. So Saudi League hit the 800 million mark, did they? Followed by Serie A, then that's crazy.
I don't think that's surprisingly, because Chelsea have somehow got rid of all their players to them, and I think they brought in a lot of money this summer.
Wow.
That doesn't surprise me if that thing is true.
The 800 million is quite a lot for the
Saudi. You think of like they brought Gabri Vega, I think, from Celta Vigo for 50 million. Yeah. Ruben Neves, 45 million. I think there's been other players in Europe who've gone for big money.
The highest one was Neymar, wasn't he? I think he was around 80 million. They got him for.
Probably is. I didn't see the figures, but that probably is right.
Yeah, I had to do a little checkup to. I'm thinking, who was actually the most expensive player they bought? And it was 90 million euros, but I think in pounds it's like 78, 80 million. So
we'll put it this way: if they're giving 55 million for Fabinho and Henderson, that means they must have spent a lot more on other players.
That is very, very true. Very true. Another comment hit the record. It's 2 billion. That's absolutely crazy. Check it as a fact. I believe you, Fama. That's absolutely outrageous. But some people are saying they might even get drawn into being part of the Champions League, which is just ridiculous. That I don't think that's not going to happen. That's just outrageous. If it does,
I'd sooner bring back the Super League than Saudi Arabia playing the Champions League. They're not a European club. They got their own version of the Champions League anyway.
Yeah, Asia's the Asian one. So I can see them change the format of like Club World Cup where more teams are involved, but that's as far as it goes, in my opinion. They shouldn't be involved in Europe. They're not located in Europe, so it doesn't make sense to have them as well. Another comment is, this was a month ago, not counting the crazy August we had. Yeah, it's been a crazy month, to say the least. But that concludes the show for today. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you to Madison, Richard, Fama, Arsenal fan, and also Samira for your comments. Appreciate your contribution as always. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Anish, thank you so much for coming on the show. And it's been a long one today as well, but the comments are coming thick and fast. So I'll give you the plug to let everyone know how to follow you on social media. And take it away.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. So as you see my name there, Anish_Dogra, that's me on Twitter. And it's the same on Instagram, but with 96 at the end of it. If you want to give me a follow, it's just a lot of Liverpool stuff. So if you want to see that, then by all means, give me a follow.
Most definitely. And Anish, don't worry, we'll have you again on the show in the season. Definitely closer to the end, but I'm going to have you during the season anyway. And then
brilliant.
We'll see how your bold statement embeds in terms of Nunes getting a 40 GA, which is interesting, but I love to hear that. So guys, the next scheduled show will be this Sunday. I will be doing a match reaction. Try to do it after the game. If not, it will be late in the evening, but I will confirm the timing. So best thing to do is hit the notification bell on YouTube. You'll be notified of when I will be doing that show. Or you can follow me for updates on social media. So Ozzie.ftp on Twitter, or you can do Ozzie FTP on Twitter, or Ozzie.ftp on Instagram. Threads, I'm on that. Don't really use it that much, but it's there for you guys to interact with me. Or you can follow me on TikTok as well. I'm doing a lot of short videos. So yeah, Anish, feel free to come on for the match reaction as well.
Thank you very much. Yeah, hopefully it'll be a good day. I'll come. I probably will come on if we win. If we don't, then don't be surprised.
Yeah, hopefully we get the win. It'll be a tough encounter. I think Aston Villa are one of the most informed teams this season. So yeah, as always, guys, take care, stay safe, and I hope to see you all very soon. Goodbye.